manufacturing. It's a huge topic. So the topic subparts will be aggregate production planning and the master production schedule, materials requirements planning, capacity planning, shop floor control, inventory control, manufacturing resources planning or MRP2, and enterprise resources planning ERP1. We'll start now. We've already 12.05. So those who are joining can join. So these following points will be discussed today in detail, and if not completed today, we will continue with the same topic, production planning and control, in tomorrow's session at the same time between 12 to 1. Operations and supply chain management, the subject that you are studying in MBA semester 2, which is a core course like other courses like financial management, human resources management, MIS, management information systems. This core course is quite vast. The subject top syllabus is quite vast. In addition to this, there is a supply chain component also being introduced. So the total subject becomes operations and supply chain management. The syllabus is quite vast, but we are trying to cover it in the limited time that we have. So what is exactly production planning and control? This is a special function of operations management. It is concerned with the logistics problems in manufacturing. More or less, the production planning and control is concerned with the logistics problems in manufacturing. It is managing the details of what, when, and how many products to produce. It is obtaining the raw materials, parts, and resources to produce them. So this is a very special function. Production planning and control, or PPC, as we well known. PPC is a very well-known name. PPC solves these logistics problems by managing information. PPC is the integrator in computer integrated manufacturing. See, today in operations manufacturing, most of the manufacturing today is automated and it is integrated through computerized operations. So all of you must be aware, in the industry we have something called CAD, CAM, CAE, that is computer aided designing, computer aided manufacturing, and computer aided engineering. So today's sophisticated and modern manufacturing is known as CIM, or computerized integrated manufacturing, and the production planning and control function is actually, it is an integrator in the CIM, which means as a part of CIM, production planning and control will function. So what do we mean by actually production planning? Since this function is about production planning and control, production planning is part 1 and production control is part 2. Production planning is concerned with deciding which products to make, how many of each to make, and when they should be completed. So this is more or less like a plan and a schedule, scheduling the delivery and or production of the parts and products. So we are going to schedule the delivery of the production parts and products, and planning the manpower and equipment resources needed to accomplish the production plan. Along with manpower and equipment, we will also be planning for inventory or materials. So what are the activities in production planning? Aggregate production planning. Planning the production outputs for major product lines must be coordinated with product design, production, marketing, and sales. Master production scheduling. This is a specific schedule, that is master production schedule, of the quantities of individual models in each major product line. And materials requirements planning, or MRP, is a detailed schedule of raw materials and parts production for models in master schedule. Capacity planning is a planning for labor and equipment resources to achieve the master schedule. So these are the following activities of production planning. I want all of you to go through this. Aggregate production planning, master production planning, materials requirements planning, MRP, and capacity planning. These four are the major activities of production planning. Now, what do we mean by production control? See, planning comes first, control comes afterwards. Production control is concerned with determining whether the necessary resources to implement the production plan have been provided. See, once we make a plan, we have to plan for the resources. That is manpower, machines, materials, methods, and money or capital. So production control is concerned with determining whether the necessary resources to implement the production plan have been provided. If not, it attempts to take corrective action to address the deficiency. So if there is some deficiency, if there is some lacuna, if there is something missing in the production plan, then production control will try to take an action on that. What are the major topics in production control? One is shop floor control. So whatever operations is going to happen on the shop floor, you have to control that very, very nicely. Second is inventory control, as I rightly said 5 minutes back, materials management or inventory control. Complete inventory control, right from raw materials to finished goods. Manufacturing resources planning. What do we mean by manufacturing resources planning? What are the different resources which go into manufacturing? Manpower, machines, materials, technology or methods, and money or working capital. So you have to plan for manufacturing resources planning. That is why manufacturing resources planning is MRP part 2 and materials requirements planning is MRP part 1. And last but not the least is ERP, enterprise resources planning. You have to plan for the resources for the complete enterprise. Remember that. The complete resource plan has to be made. So all the resources which is going to making the enterprise a success have to be managed through ERP. I think if you remember, we had long discussions on ERP with respect to SAP, BAN, or which other was that, Oracle, etc. So this is a block schematic of actual activities in a production planning and control system. So what happens in the first stage? It is aggregate planning, then is detail planning, third is production control, and fourth is the actual operations. So if we start from top to bottom, in the aggregate planning stage, sales and marketing will be bringing the orders and we will be doing some forecasting on that. So sales and marketing inputs are inputs to the aggregate production plan. Aggregate production planning then goes to product design. Once a product is designed and tested properly, it will go to engineering and manufacturing database. Once engineering and manufacturing database is generated, MRP or materials requirements plan is generated. Once MRP is generated, then the inventory records will be accessed and master production schedule will be generated. Once a master production schedule will be generated, we will be checking for capacity, whether we have that much amount of capacity to produce, etc. Then what other inputs will be there to the master production schedule? Sales orders, sales forecast. So aggregate production planning will give rise to MPS or master production schedule. Master production schedule will give rise to MRP, that is materials requirements plan. And further, the materials requirements plan will be split into two ways. One will go to purchasing department. So the purchase function will start purchasing items required, and the other will go to shop floor control, which means the shop floor will start producing as per the plan. Now purchasing department and shop floor control usually comes under production control, and aggregate planning and detail planning comes under production planning. And finally, the plans are transferred to operations, which means day-to-day operations. In day-to-day operations, we all know we'll be having suppliers, we'll be having vendors, we'll be having our outsourcing people working for us. So we transfer those plans to the supplier base. The supplier base will interact with the factory will interact with the customer base. So the factory basically has three roles to play. The people in the factory will have a shop floor control, the people in the factory will have a control on the suppliers, and the people in the factory will be interacting with the customer base. Finally, the customer is going to interact with the sales and marketing people. So you can see this is a wonderful block diagram. This is one of the best block diagrams which explains in a simple one paper what are the activities in production planning and control. If you are asked this kind of question in the examination of Pune University, that explain the functions of production planning and control, or explain in short the different activities handled by production planning and control, the best thing is to draw this block diagram. And I think this is a very easy block diagram to draw. You don't have to remember a lot. You can just remember the four stages of production planning and control. The first stage is aggregate planning, second stage is detailed planning, third stage is production control, and fourth stage is operations or frontline operations. And once you remember these four stages, you can further elaborate in the block schematic as shown in this picture. So what is aggregate production planning? Now I leave to all of you to read this. What does it mean by aggregate production planning? Very simple. Read this, try to understand, and if you have any doubt, please ask me. What is aggregate production planning? It is planning the production output levels for a major product line. It is a high-level corporate planning activity. It must be coordinated with the plans of the sales and marketing departments. It includes products that are currently in production. It must consider current and future inventory levels of those products. It also includes new products currently being developed. Marketing plans for current and new products must be reconciled against total capacity resources of the company. Have a look at this aggregate production plan. It is quite self-explanatory. The stock in every week is given in hand. In the first week, we have 200 M model line and 80 N model line. Similarly, in the seventh week, we have a requirement of 120 and 10. So what happens is we have to order for 70. So this is a simple aggregate production plan, which is done by the factory people. Any questions on aggregate production planning? Any questions on aggregate production planning? I can see there are 16 attendees today. So this aggregate production plan sample which I have shown here on the screen basically shows output levels for major product lines of the company. So we require M line, N line and P line. M model, N model and P model as follows. In the first week we require 200 M models, 80 N models and so on. In the seventh week we require 120 M models, 10 N models and 70 P models. In the 8th, 9th and 10th week we do not require any N model. So what is a master production schedule? This is the description of what is a master production schedule. So this is a firm schedule or a specific schedule. Master production schedule includes three categories of items: firm order of customer orders, forecasted demand and spare parts. Have a look at how a master production schedule is. So this is a master production schedule done as in coordination with the aggregate production plan. This is done for a span of 10 weeks. Shall we go ahead? You had a look at the master production schedule. Shall we go ahead? Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. See, once your aggregate plan is ready and the master production schedule is ready, then we actually go for materials requirements planning or MRP. So this is actually a computational technique that converts the master production schedule for end products into a detailed schedule for the raw materials and components used in the end products. So MRP or MRP-1 is useful for dependent demand items. not for independent demand items. Independent demand items, final products and spare parts. You cannot anticipate the demand for spare parts. But dependent demand is the component parts which are used in making final products. So we very well know that dependent demand is the components used for making the final product. But once a final product is delivered or sold, then you cannot really anticipate the spare parts requirements. Because we don't know how many cars or how many vehicles will come for service. So spare part demands for spare part or demand for any other items like these can be said to be just in time. So this is the structure of an MRP system. This block schematic explains you the structure of the MRP system. So once we make the master production schedule and inventory record file is there, and the most important thing is bill of materials and other design and manufacturing data. Once we have a design and manufacturing data and inventory records with us and the MPS or master production schedule with us, then we can very well go for MRP or materials requirements plan. And once materials requirements planning is done, then we can release the orders or planned order releases for purchasing function and manufacturing other output reports. So the most important thing is MRP, materials requirements plan, because it is actually going to translate all your inventory into final orders requirements. The name itself is MRP, materials requirements planning. Now what are the inputs to the MRP system? We already saw that in the block diagram. Master production schedule, inventory record file or inventory data, and BOM or bill of materials, and design data. So mainly three inputs are there. Now, what do we mean by MRP, product structure? See, if we have a main product to be manufactured, then the main product will be divided into sub-parts. Say, an example, if you want to manufacture a car, then the car will require 4 wheels, or one wheel will be having 2 shock absorbers. So total 4 wheels will be requiring 8 shock absorbers. So we have to differentiate or divide the total requirements into product structure. This is also called breakdown structure of products. So let us say there is a product called P1. Then the product P1 is made up of 2 sub-assemblies, S1 and S2. Now sub-assembly S1 is made up of 3 components, C1, C2 and C3. Sub-assembly 2 is made up of 3 components, C4, C5 and C6. And component C1 is made up of material M1, component C2 is made up of material M2, component C3 is made up of material M3. Similarly, component C4, C5 and C6 is made up of material M4, M5 and M6 respectively. So you have to finally calculate how much amount of total material is required to manufacture one product P1. So this is how the inventory record file will look if you go to the industry. In the industry, the materials inventory record file looks like this. Now there are some complicating factors in MRP which are discussed here. Just go through it. there are some complications in materials requirements planning. If the right amount of materials are not calculated, then it may result in even stopping the assembly line. Because nowadays we are ordering for just in time. Nowadays we are not going for bulk manufacturing. We are ordering only for just in time. So whatever orders we have in hand, we will order the inventory only for the orders in hand. So net requirements, gross requirements, common use items, raw materials, and components used on more than one product. Lead times, scheduled delivery of end products must be translated into time phase. The most important thing in materials requirements planning is the lead time and delivery times. If those are not proper, then you may have a problem of overstocking and you may also have a problem of understock. So what is the meaning of lead time? Lead times are scheduled delivery of end products must be translated. Lead times are nothing but the time gap or the gap required between purchase order, once you place the purchase order, and receipt from the vendor. Once you place the purchase order, then the time it takes for the receipt of the goods from the vendor, the total time from purchase order release to getting the goods in your premises is called lead time. Now, what is the manufacturing lead time? Time between order release and completion. So, suppose a customer has released an order and the time that he gets, the time till the time he gets the order in hand, it's called the lead time. It's something like Amazon. You order something on Amazon and you get it in 5 to 6 days. So, that's a lead time. So, what are the outputs to MRP? Finally, materials requirements planning. What are the outputs to MRP? Planned order releases, purchase orders to buy raw materials and parts, work orders to make parts and products, report of planned order releases in future periods, rescheduling notices, cancellation notices, inventory status reports, performance reports, exception reports, inventory forecasts. These are the outputs of an MRP system. MRP benefits reported by users. Some users have reported some good benefits of MRP. Reduction in inventory, quicker response to changes in demand, reduced setup and changeover costs, better machine utilization, improved capacity to respond to changes in master production schedule, and aiding in developing the master schedule. Why some MRP systems do not succeed? Why some of the MRP systems do not succeed? Application was not appropriate, usually because product structure did not fit the data requirements of MRP. MRP computations based on inaccurate data. Master production schedule was not coupled with capacity planning. MRP generated an unrealistic schedule of work, orders that overloaded the factory. So these are some of the drawbacks or the reasons of why MRP will not work. Now let us discuss capacity planning. So what do we mean by capacity planning? It's defined over here. This is concerned with determining the labor and equipment resources required to meet the current master schedule as well as long future production needs of the firm. Capacity basically will decide how much you can produce at any given point of time. Also serves to identify the limitations of the available production resources so that an unrealistic master schedule is not planned. Capacity planning is usually accomplished in three stages. One is to determine resources requirements planning to evaluate whether the aggregate production plan is feasible. Second is have a rough cut capacity planning, which means to assess the feasibility of master production schedule. And third is capacity requirements planning, or CRP, that is detailed capacity calculation for individual departments and work cells. Now this is a block schematic of the stages of capacity planning. Aggregate production planning, master production schedule, and materials requirements planning. There are 17 participants, and I am going to download the attendance sheet now. RCCP stands for Rough Cut Capacity Planning. RRP stands for Resource Requirements Planning. And CRP stands for Capacity Requirements Planning. If you want to mention the short long forms of the words, RRP stands for Resource Requirements Planning. RCCP stands for Rough Cut Capacity Planning. And CRP stands for Capacity Requirements Planning. So this is a small note on short-term capacity adjustments. Any questions if you have, you please ask, don't hesitate.
Just stockpiling म्हणजे काय?
Stock planning means planning for a buffer or emergency stock. Even if we are operating just in time, we cannot afford to have stock out situation. Stock planning म्हणजे एक मिनिमम 10 किंवा 20% बफर स्टॉक आपण ठेवतो. We will usually appreciate a minimum of 5 to 10%, not more than 20% buffer stock. Even if you operate just in time. Just in time, the meaning of just in time is only order for the required quantity of items. But what if some of the items which are ordered become defective during our operation? What if some of the items during our operation do not fit or do not are not suitable? In that case, we will have to have a minimum 5 to 10% of stock. That is called stock buffer stock. So short-term capacity planning will take into consideration employment levels. How many employees should we hire? How many employees should we give layoff? Whether we should have a temporary labor, because permanent labor is something which is difficult to manage over the period of time. temporary workers, how much we want, number of work shifts per period, labor hours per shift. So all these calculations are done in short-term capacity plan. Inventory stockpiling, how much inventory we should have as a stock. Order backlogs, are there any order backlogs? Should we go for subcontracting? Should we go for letting jobs during busy periods work, taking in work during slack periods? So it is always a better practice to assign maximum capacity jobs to subcontractors, because we may not be having that much amount of capacity. So what do we mean by long-term capacity adjustments? New equipment investment, new plant construction, purchasing of existing plants from other companies, acquisition of existing companies, plant closings, all these decisions are taken during long-term capacity planning. See, capacity planning also has to be done for a long term. Generally, it is done for a period of 1 year and beyond. What do we mean by shop floor control? Go through this article on shop floor control. What do we mean by shop floor control? Actually, on the shop floor, we do maximum execution. So, however theoretical we may be speaking, actually at the execution stage, we may have to do some last moment changes. Production planning and control is not as easy as it looks. You see, a lot of experience. It needs a lot of hand-holding of the top management. But experience will come only out of working on it. This is a block diagram of shop floor control. Have a look at it. This is a very nice way of presenting how shop floor operations are controlled. The first stage of any control is master production schedule. The second stage is materials requirements planning. And third stage is order release. So once we are done with the visual study of shop floor control in PPC block diagram, I will go further. The book to be referred for this is Automation, Production Systems and Computer Integrated Manufacturing by Professor Michael P. Brewer of Lehigh University. So there are three phases of shop floor control: order release, order schedule and order progress. What is the meaning of order release? See, before starting any production, internally you have to release the order to the production department. It's a documentation. Because once the order is released, the production department will be raising material requisitions. to the stores. Order release, order scheduling, and order process progress. Once the orders are released, then the production planning and control department will start scheduling the order. Schedules are done very meticulously and they are executed, and progress reports are taken on a day-to-day basis. And then job sequencing is done. Once you go for job scheduling, we have to decide about priority control. And the last stage is order progress. Any questions on production planning and control? I think we might have to continue with the production planning and control session number 2 tomorrow, because we'll be also taking some examples from ERP, from modules like MM and PP, that is materials management and production planning. MM and PP are two important modules in ERP which are used in the industry today for production planning and materials management control. So if you have any questions on that, you may ask.
सर या सब्जेक्ट वरती एमसीक्यू मिळतील का सर प्रॅक्टिससाठी?
Come again.
सर या सब्जेक्ट वरती एमसीक्यू मिळतील का सर म्हणजे प्रॅक्टिससाठी?
हो आहेत माझ्याकडे. आय थिंक आय हॅव डाउनलोडेड फ्रॉम समवेअर. मी पाठवेन. एमसीक्यूज आहेत माझ्याकडे. इनफॅक्ट इफ यू रिमेंबर एक लेक्चर होतं जेव्हा I had discussed some MCQ questions along with answer solutions. I have some MCQs. I'll send you that. I'll search and send you that.
Yes, sir.
The subject खूप vast आहे. Syllabus खूप vast आहे.
थोडं प्रॅक्टिससाठी सर.
प्रॅक्टिससाठी MCQs पाहिजे. बरोबर आहे. I'll send you.
Thank you, sir.
I think I'll send it to your professor. From there, he will send it to the whole. तुमचे email IDs असतील ह्याचे IIMS चे. So the professor will send you to all or in the group also.
Yes, sir.
These are actually some of the important topics in operations planning and control. This subject is clearly divided into two types. One is operations management and second is supply chain management. So in operations management, most of the operations management is all about capacity planning, materials requirements planning, inventory planning, manufacturing resources planning, etc. Operations is all about planning and executing those plans. Because on the shop floor, what we do is once the orders are released, then we execute them. There's a lot of challenge in scheduling the orders, and we take progress reports. Again, there is one more important aspect of quality, you see. While doing all these things, there should be quality produced. No defect should be produced. So all these things will be done through factory data collection system. Actually, all these things will be checked while ISO auditing. When there is an ISO quality audit, all these things will be checked. I will send you this presentation also in the group, and I will also send you some multiple choice questions. I think once I had downloaded, I'll try and send you that.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll speak about inventory control. Basically, there are two costs associated with inventory. One is the inventory holding cost, the another is an inventory setup cost. So we have, our objective is to minimize the cost of holding inventory and maximize customer service. Inventory actually has a lot of challenge of holding cost. The greatest challenge in inventory is cost. So the following are the costs of holding inventory: storage, investment, obsolescence or spoilage or damage. There are many costs associated with holding the inventory. Obsolescence is one of the challenges. Parts become obsolete, technology upgrades, or spoilage may happen, damages may happen. So there will be inventory systems installed in the factory for ordering at the right point. How many systems to be ordered, or what is the meaning of EOQ, economic ordering quantity. There is a lot of reading that you guys also require for this subject. So while this subject is being discussed, I am assuming that you guys will be reading a lot, either from Mahadevan's book or from some local book.
Yes, sir.
Because PowerPoint presentations will be covering limited points, but the detailed theory will be discussed in books by Mahadevan sir, or the book written by Stevenson. So parallelly, there is a requirement of reading also. What is inventory management, how to manage the inventory, etc. So I think we've just got about last 3 minutes left now for the session. We've got 12:55 p.m. in my watch, last 5 minutes left. So let's devote the last 5 minutes for question answers, if at all you guys have, or otherwise we'll stop here and we'll continue with production planning and control systems for tomorrow. And we'll finish with production planning and control systems tomorrow. We'll be discussing about EOQ, economic ordering of quantity, with a formula and some mathematical terms. I cannot cover EOQ in the next 5 minutes. I'll be solving some problem also on EOQ. And then we'll go to further topics.
Yes.
We'll discuss EOQ tomorrow.